Ashleigh Banfield just exposed something, and once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. She didn't find a witness. She didn't find a body. She found a door, and behind that door is a record Brian Hooker never had custody of. A record he cannot edit, cannot delete, and cannot reach. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what that record holds, and why investigators are now looking somewhere they never looked before. But first, stay with this detail, because this is where everything starts. April 4th, the Sea of Abaco, Bahamas. Lynette Hooker goes into dark water. Her husband Brian says she fell from their dinghy, took the engine key with her, and left him stranded. He claims he paddled for hours through strong currents and reached Marsh Harbor around 4 in the morning. That is his story. That is the version he has told from the beginning. But in the days that followed, Brian Hooker did something that nobody has fully examined. He didn't call family. He didn't wait. He opened an AI tool and built maps. Annotated, detailed, route-marked maps of the night his wife disappeared. Then he handed them, unsolicited, to Jim Todd of Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue. Nobody asked for those maps. No authority required them. He made them anyway. Ashleigh Banfield looked at those maps differently from everyone else. She didn't ask what they showed. She asked what built them. And we're going to show you exactly what she found. And why it may be the most important breakthrough in this case yet. If you're new here, subscribe now and turn the bell on. Justice over everything. Uncover the truth. Demand justice. This case is moving fast. Don't miss what comes next. Banfield spent weeks on those maps, the rendering, the coastline conventions, the labeling defaults, and then she found the name of the tool. And when she did, she understood something that almost everyone covering this case had completely missed. The tool was Gemini, Google's AI assistant. That is what Banfield identified after weeks of studying the maps Brian sent to Jim Todd. Now, most people hear that and think, so what? Millions of people use AI tools every day. Dinner ideas, travel plans. Nothing sinister. But here is what those people don't understand. And this distinction is the entire reason Banfield called this a game changer. Gemini is not a search bar. It is not a one-off query that evaporates the moment you close the tab. Gemini runs inside a signed-in Google account, and an account is not an event. It is a place. It accumulates. It syncs across every device that account has ever been logged into. The phone in your pocket, the tablet on the boat, the laptop below deck. What is strange about this is not that Brian used an AI tool. It is that the process of building even one careful map generates an entire documented trail. You do not get a finished annotated route from a single command. You ask, you correct, you refine, move this point, draw that line, label that spot. Each exchange is a separate turn. Each turn is retained. Each one has a timestamp. The more precise the map, the richer the footprint behind it. And that footprint does not live on any device Brian Hooker controls. It lives on Google's infrastructure. That means he cannot shape it in his favor any more than he can erase it against himself. The act of deletion is itself a record. A sudden effort to purge an account after an event of interest becomes evidence of intent, not just of what was erased. There is no clean exit. Leave the record intact, and whatever it holds is preserved. Rush to wipe it, and you have manufactured a new problem on top of the old one. Either way, the copy on Google's servers simply waits. But Banfield wasn't finished, because while she was studying maps, investigators were examining a completely different record, and what they found did not match Brian's story at all. 2 separate records, 2 separate sources, both pointing at the same gap. And when you lay them side by side, the picture that forms is one the defense cannot easily explain away. This is the part that changes the search itself. CBS News reported on May 28, 2026, that a U.S. official confirmed GPS data, in this case, does not align with what Brian Hooker told investigators. This is not a podcast finding. This is institutional. A named government source, echoed by the Coast Guard and major outlets. That GPS data sent the original search to the wrong part of the Sea of Abaco. Bahamian authorities have now approved a new dive team, They are targeting areas, including deeper water, that were never examined the first time. Read that again. Because that is not what you expect to find 2 months into a disappearance case. A record nobody needed Brian's help to access just redirected the entire physical search. Now hold both records side by side. Here is what investigators are working with. 1. GPS data that tracks where the boat actually went that night, contradicting Brian's account of his route. 2. A signed-in Gemini account that would log every question asked, every map refined, and every session timestamp, whether or not Brian remembers making them. 3. Maps produced unsolicited and handed to a civilian rescue coordinator within days of Lynette's disappearance. 4. A coastline Banfield describes as having hidden margins, mangrove creeks, soft sand beaches, places where the ordinary rule about bodies surfacing in open water does not apply. 5. And a single question Banfield keeps turning to, not just what was in that account, but when those questions were asked. And this is where it gets complicated. Banfield frames the search queries as hypothetical. She does not claim Brian searched for those locations. What she is doing is naming the shape of what would be almost impossible to explain if it existed. She is outlining the whole, not pointing at something inside it. That line matters. Hold it, because we are about to show you the detail that has been hiding in plain sight since this case began, the one nobody examined, and it does not live in any account or any GPS log. Do you think the GPS contradiction alone is enough to charge him? Or does that Gemini account need to surface first? Tell us in the comments. 2 records, neither his to control. But there is a third thing in this case that required no warrant, no subpoena, no forensic lab. It was visible from day one, and everyone looked straight past it. Before she became the subject of a search, Lynette Hooker was a woman who had sold her home, bought a sailboat, and committed her life to the water. She and Brian had spent years restoring that boat, learning those channels, building something together. She was experienced. She was not a passenger. She was a mariner. That is who is missing. That is who this case is about. Now return to Brian in the days after she disappeared. He is not calling family. He is not in shock. He is producing. He opens a tool. He builds something precise. Annotated routes, labeled coordinates. A documented back and forth that required focus and deliberate effort. Here is the behavioral reality nobody has said plainly enough. Innocent people in genuine shock do not produce formatted, AI-generated navigational diagrams of the night their spouse vanished. They collapse, they wait, they break. Brian Hooker sat down and built something careful, voluntarily, for a civilian. The very care that went into those maps is the same care that left the most detailed footprint. Banfield's words land here with full weight. People think they're smarter than the rest of us. They're not. What investigators could subpoena is not just a map. It is the sequence of everything asked before that map existed. And when. Brian Hooker has not been charged. He denies any wrongdoing. But the record he generated is not his to manage anymore. It never was. If this case matters to you, hit subscribe and share this video. Justice over everything. Uncover the truth. Demand justice. The more eyes on this, the more pressure stays on this investigation. The maps were never requested. He made them anyway. What does that tell you? Drop your read below. Brian Hooker has not been charged. He denies everything. And Lynette Hooker has still not been found. But somewhere on a server, a record has been waiting since the night she disappeared, and it does not need his permission to be read. The Bahamian police commissioner has confirmed Brian Hooker remains a suspect. The FBI is processing remaining evidence. A new dive team is searching water that was never examined the first time. The investigation is not over. It is accelerating. What exists right now is a question with a known address. The Gemini account is identified. The GPS record is confirmed. The maps are in the hands of investigators. And Lynette Hooker has still not been found. The most dangerous thing in a modern investigation is rarely the thing a person sets out to hide. It is what they generate without thinking. A prompt, a location ping, a map built carefully in a quiet moment, under their own name, inside a system they did not own. Brian Hooker controlled his devices. He never controlled the trail those devices fed into someone else's system. Nobody knows what that account holds. But if there is anything in it, the decision to surface it was never his to make. With the right warrant, investigators go directly to Google. They do not knock on his door. They do not ask. The record simply waits. And so does justice for Lynette. Does the Gemini angle change how you read this case? Or do you need to see actual records before you move? Let us know below. Subscribe to Justice Over Everything. Turn the bell on. And if you know anything about what happened to Lynette Hooker, contact the Royal Bahamas Police Force or submit a tip through the CGIS Tips app. One tip has broken cases bigger than this one. Uncover the truth. Demand justice.